Hi, everybody. My name is Jenn Palmer. I'm a healer and intuitive. And today I really want to talk to you about feeling safe. I run a mission focus group and we do a lot of talk around what's holding us back and how do we move forward. And then we do healings and activations and things to try to overcome, our blockades and what's keeping us from being our best and from doing what we came here to do. And at the last meeting, we started talking about the idea of coming into our power and empowerment. What does it mean when you fail, and how do you overcome failure? And what is success? And something that seemed to struck a chord with all of us is that we all have ways in which we feel unsafe in this world. And when we feel unsafe and we're living in that level of fear, which is our core, it's who we are at the very base level of our humanity. If we're feeling unsafe, we're not going to feel free enough to take the risks and have faith and love in what we're doing. So I really want to talk about ways in which you might be feeling unsafe. And what occurred to me in that moment is that a lot of it is really unconscious. It's things that we haven't even really looked at before. And I used to think that I felt pretty okay and secure in this world. And then the universe shows me difficulties to show that, well, maybe not quite. There are things that we go through, maybe as tests or initiations to get us to the next level. And it's not easy. And it is meant to test our faith. It's meant to test our resolve and our strength and our durability. And what ends up happening a lot of times is when we have these experiences or these traumas that take us out of faith and into fear, we start feeling really unsafe and insecure in this world. And then we aren't able to take the risks that we want to take. So I really want to dive into this a little bit and see if we can work through some things that maybe you're going through. And if you're not going through it right now, that's fine. Maybe you know somebody who is struggling with this feeling of being not safe and secure in this world. So, the reason why I think it's important to address these things is because ultimately, when we face these fears and we have faith again, we start to feel more freedom and empowerment to do the things that we actually came here to do. To help others, to start a business, to be of service in some way, to step out of our comfort zone, to maybe become a teacher, whatever it is that you're ready to break free from and move forward in so you can help others do the same. That's probably what your mission is. So if you feel like you're struggling with any kind of fear in this way, a lack of safety, a lack of security, then keep listening. If not, maybe try to share this. All right. So, like I said, it can be pretty hidden and unconscious. So, I want to go through a few areas where maybe you're feeling it. Um, Maybe you feel all of them, maybe just one or two of them. It's all good and it's all something we need to look at. So, let's try to locate those. So, some of the ways that you might feel unsafe, a lot of people are afraid to really be seen for who they are, and we wear masks. We sometimes even unknowingly pretend to be something we're not. And it doesn't mean that, if you're having a really rough day, that you go around and tell everybody you're having a rough day and bring them down in the process. No, that's yours. That's yours to work through. And maybe if you need help, you go to somebody to ask for specific help. But at the same time, you don't have to lie about it, but you can say something like, well, things are okay. And I'm working through what I'm going through, but it's good. Life is still good. You can find a way to look at life in that way where you don't have to wear the mask. But we usually wear the mask or we prevent ourselves from being seen. We don't say what we really feel in public or what we think in public. We're afraid to be vulnerable for good reason, because sometimes people are really awful to us. Sometimes people really make us want to crawl up and go into a cave and never come out again. And that's a valid concern because people do use things against you. People will say things. People will judge you. People will abandon you. People will disappoint you. But it doesn't mean that you should stop being who you are. Maybe be a little bit more picky about who you confide in or what you do, but still come from your truth of who you actually are. Be in alignment with that because there's nothing wrong with you. None of us have it all right. None of us. And there's so much more for us to learn and understand about this reality and this experience. And we're all in process. So take that burden off and understand, yeah, people are going to judge you. People are going to abandon you. They're not going to agree with you, or they'll think you're just, I don't know, not of this world or something. And that's okay. It's okay. Get into your discernment, know when it's okay to get more vulnerable and when it's not. But whatever it is you're speaking, try to be the most authentic version of you possible. Try not to hide. Allow yourself to be seen for who you are. And it doesn't matter what other people think ultimately. If you're needing approval from others or love from others, then you're living in the paradigm of probably codependence, at least to a small degree. So the more you can escape from that paradigm and come into just belief and trust in who you are, and with the knowing and understanding that none of us have all the answers and we're just doing our best to get through it, hopefully in the most loving way possible, you can let that go. Security is also really important, especially, it's funny, amongst the spiritual community. So many people see money as bad, or if you make a profit, that's a bad thing, especially if you're doing healing work. It's not a bad thing. Money is just a resource. It's not bad or wrong to enjoy resources, to have the things that you want or need in this world to thrive. It is not wrong to thrive. Everybody can thrive. Not everybody does, but that is not your fault. Everybody can thrive. Everybody has a way and a point of being where they can choose to thrive. And if they're not thriving, there are reasons for that. And yes, we try to help each other, but don't try to take on the burdens of those around you. Don't feel bad about thriving. Don't feel bad about having the things you need. Those base level security needs, money, housing, food, even relationships, they all help us feel safe and secure in this world. And you can't truly be in love coming from your high spiritual space and senses if you're feeling like you're not safe and secure in this world with the basic resources that you need. Now, maybe you feel okay with that. Maybe you're like, well, as long as I can afford my house and all of that, then I'm okay, but I can't get any more of that. I can't go any further than that. Well, I challenge you to go even further because we all have levels of breakthrough. And one of the ways that we see that in this world is through physical abundance. And it's okay to have physical abundance and to try to move through that and break through your own barriers, because really the more resources we have, the more we can try to help others and the less fear we will ever be in of not being safe and secure. And you might say, well, what comes here first, the chicken or the egg? Do you need to feel secure to get secure? Well, yes, you do. And we'll get to that. But it is an upward spiral. Okay. And you have to understand that receiving and the ability to receive feeling secure has to come before you feeling secure. You might be able to do that before you receive in physical reality, but you have to be able to receive it in the energetic and emotional space. So if you can do that, that's really important. Okay. So try to remove your judgments and the paradigm of money or too many resources is not spiritual. It's actually a part of this whole process. And this world, the way it's set up right now, maybe it could be set up better where that would not be a thing. But right now, in this moment, it's just a resource. It's a way in which other people can show you appreciation and love. And it's okay to receive that. Okay, so if you're not feeling safe because you don't have the physical resources, maybe check into, are you feeling guilty for having enough? Maybe you are. Maybe it's not. Maybe there's other things like karma or other aspects to look at, even ancestral karma. Yeah, that's a big one for a lot of people. I know it was for me as well. So just check into these things. Don't be afraid to question them, question your belief systems around them. Another one might be about suffering. Do you feel unsafe because you're afraid to suffer? And maybe you've had a lot of suffering and it's just been awful. Some people have really difficult lives. There's been a lot of suffering. And I think very few people get through this experience without some form of suffering. None of us want to feel that. It's not something that we come in and we're born into saying, yes, I'm suffering. All right. But how you look at the suffering and how you shift it, I think of it more as a challenge. And sometimes it's very challenging, and I totally understand it. And I've been through it myself. But the best thing you can do is challenge your belief systems around it. Look at what's causing the suffering and how can you move forward? How can you see things in a way where it's actually being of service to you, even if it's really hard and really awful and really challenging? Somehow, some way, it's directing you, it's helping you, it's changing you, it's molding you into someone even better. And that's really important to understand so that you don't feel victim to the suffering. And the sooner you can feel that and get into alignment with that, the more quickly you're going to shift things and get out of the suffering. You can't force it. You can't control it. It's a state of being that you need to get into. And sometimes you can speed that along a little bit by getting into that state of being that you're meant to find through that process. But it's one of those things where you don't see it till you see it. And that process is there for a reason. So as much as we want to rush getting through the challenges and the suffering that we feel like we experience, do your best to appreciate what you might be getting out of it and to just stay open, and not shut down and to not be in fear of being unsafe in all of this. And sometimes it does feel very unsafe. It really does. In the physical 3D world, it does. But we are spiritual beings in this physical reality, and it's important for you to remember that too. That is where your true power is. It's in the spiritual side of things. Okay, the next thing is the fear of death. A lot of us are afraid of death, and it might be more subconscious. You might think, no, when my time comes, my time comes. But then what happens is, what if you got diagnosed with cancer or some sort of debilitating disease, and maybe you were only given 2 weeks to live? That's a sudden shock. And a lot of people, most people aren't ready for that. And the reason why we maybe don't feel like we're afraid of death is because we feel like it's way out there. Like, oh, I've got a ways to go before I have to face that. But ultimately, if it was right here, right now, and you were told you don't have much time left, how would you feel? Are you truly at peace at that? Does that make you feel unsafe in some way? Is it the end of you? Well, as a spiritual person, I don't believe so. It certainly doesn't seem so from everything I've seen in this experience. But do I know for sure? No, no, none of us really know. So there is a fear there. There's a feeling of a really core feeling of maybe it's not safe, and I'm not going to look at things because I fear it so much because it's unsafe to acknowledge it. So at all of these levels and all the things that we're looking at and how, we move through this world and have these experiences, a lot of times it's this deep core feeling of just, it feels unsafe. And you might notice where you carry that too. When you think of the things that actually do feel unsafe and you start to acknowledge it, you might feel, heartache, or you might feel it in your abdomen or in your neck. You might realize just where you're carrying all of the trauma from it. What I recommend is seeing a good healer or a good spiritual coach. Do some breath work, do meditation. There are a lot of things that you can do to really help move things forward and get past this fear. But the most important thing to do is to come back into your connection with God, source, creator, whatever you want to call this. Get back into connection with that. Full trust, full faith that you're okay and it is okay. And you are deeply, deeply loved and cared for. And that it's not truly unsafe. It just feels unsafe. And if you can really repair that and that deep connection with your creator, your God, your source, and your own being within, trusting that you as a soul, you came here to experience these things for good reasons. Try to reconnect with your reasons. What are you feeling about it? Can you sit in the midst of a very difficult challenge and feel peace? Can you feel security? Can you feel safe? Because the minute you do that, that's when you've passed that test, not before. And it's not always easy. I know. And I've passed some tests and I'm still working on others. So it's okay. All of us are going through that. This is your spiritual journey, your process, your growth, your evolution. Are you going to sit back and allow yourself to be pushed to the side and left in a cave because you're too afraid to experience what might feel unsafe? Or are you going to go ahead and face those things? Look at them, try to heal them, come back to a beautiful reality that you are cared for. It doesn't mean everything is always perfect and always wonderful and there will not be any challenges. But you can rest assured that you can make it through those challenges and you can get to the other side. And you are loved. And that all of this serves a purpose to help mold you into who you truly want to become. All right, guys, I really hope that that has helped you. And if you need any support, please let me know. Much love to you. Bye.